Doug,
Done one day, that's a lot.
It's that big.
Right there.
Right on time, 5 on the dot.
He's taking your place, that's way here.
He is, Bill. Bill is it. Neighborhood Stephanie. All right.
How you doing?
Let me call this budget public hearing to order. We also have one other matter of business in addition to the public hearing, and that's action on a retention bonus that the town manager will go over with us. But let me remind council and also the public that in accordance with the code of ethics adopted by the council, all council, and also and also part of our state ethics program as well. All council members have a duty to conduct the affairs of the governing board in an open and public manner, free of conflicts of interest. Is there any item on the agenda, the outcome of which will have a direct, substantial, and readily identifiable financial impact for any council member, his or her family, or close business associates? And does any council member have a financial interest in any public contract coming before the council today, which we have none? But the idea here is that a council member, if there is a financial interest, and that financial interest conflicts with any item on the agenda, that creates a conflict, and the member has not the right not to vote. It's appropriate that they wouldn't vote. If there's not a financial interest, a direct one, or a family member financial interest, council members have to vote. They have a choice. They have to vote on any item that comes before them, of which there's a vote. So, and I think it is helpful for everyone to know that. Josh, first item of business, the retention bonus.
Sure. So I did talk with each of you, I guess a week or so ago about this retention bonus. We have been trying to change our payroll cycle, I guess, for as long as we've been in existence. We've had to estimate our time and not be held a week back, like you typically would be when you start a job. So in order to try to get that correct with our new financial software that we're implementing soon, we were gonna hold folks back a week. And just with the way things were going financially for everybody, inflation, gas prices, food prices, everything, I had a bad feeling of doing that for folks. So what I proposed to council was to give every full-time employee a bonus of $2,500. Now, after taxes are taken out, it ends up being a little bit less than $2,000. The total amount for that across the board for the town is about $207,000. And just looking at our budget as we're finishing up this year's budget here in the next couple of days, we feel very confident that there is going to be money in there to cover that. So there's not going to be a need for any kind of budget amendment for that process. I will say that, each and every employee that I've talked to, which has been a lot, have been very, very appreciative of this. I think it couldn't come at a better time for everybody.
Good, thank you. Any questions for Josh on that? We wanted to vote on it. I know it was an individual contact, everyone approved, but we wanted to take a vote on it because we have a policy that any salary adjustments need to be voted on and approved by the council, adjustments after the budget is passed. So I'd entertain a motion for approval of the retention bonus.
So moved.
Thank you, Ryan.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
You need to do a roll call vote, Mayor, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's right, we do,
Sorry.
Savannah, can you do the roll call? By the way, just a matter of information, Councilmember Hay is not well, so he is attending, can you see him right behind me? He's attending, as you can see, by Zoom or whatever that might be. And we can do that because the state of North Carolina is still under a state of emergency, the governor's orders that allows for hybrid meetings. And so it's a nice thing when somebody's sick and we don't want to breathe on us, they can join us remotely. However, every vote has to be done by roll call, even for those who are here. So Savannah.
I will start with Councilmember Hay. One second.
Hang on just a second, Doug, we're having technical difficulties. That's right.
Okay, Doug, try it again.
My vote was yes, and I just want to thank you and Mayor for getting this worked out so I can take it.
Thank you, Doug.
Councilmember King? Yes. Vice Mayor Stone?
Yes.
Councilmember Patillo?
Yes.
And Councilmember Christie?
Yes.
Right. Thank you, Savannah. So we'll move on to our public hearing on the budget, and let me just outline a bit how the public hearing works for, just as a reminder. What I'll do is ask council to open the public hearing, I'll take a vote and do that. Then staff, the town manager, is going to present the budget to the public, and of course, we've been working on it all winter. At that point in time, members of the public can make comment. You might have a question in your comment, and if you do, we'll do our best to record those any questions that come up, and we'll answer those after the public hearing, which is your comments, is over, because we can't do a back and forth dialogue. That doesn't work. And so just to let you know how that works, and we'll start off by, let's just work toward any comments from the public being 4 minutes or so, okay? And we'll kind of play it by ear and see how that works for everyone. So, with all that said, I'd entertain a motion from council to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Great, thank you. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, we need a roll call.
Okay, Councilmember Hay. Councilmember King,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Stone,
Aye.
Councilmember Portillo,
Aye.
Councilmember Christie.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, Josh.
All right, so I'm gonna do some reading here, just so everybody can kind of get a picture of what's going on with this budget. So, I'm pleased to submit for your consideration the proposed budget for this upcoming fiscal year, 22-23. Of course, the budget is balanced with respect to revenues and expenditures and meets all the requirements of the North Carolina Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act. American Rescue Plan. Since signing of the American Rescue Plan Act in early 2021, numerous changes occurred in the rules and requirements on spending this funding. Due to the town's small size, it makes the most sense to use this funding as revenue replacement. The ARP guidelines allow for local governments to claim up to $10 million in revenue replacement. Using this funding for revenue replacement allows us to meet the ARP rules and requirements with minimal reporting requirements to the federal government. Using the funding for revenue replacement also allows the town to take full advantage of spending the ARP funds with limited restrictions. And if we recall in our discussions through budget, we aren't going off script here, through our numerous discussions on budget, we are going to appropriate these funds after this budget. That was our discussion. I think that's what everyone agreed to do. So a lot of these one-time or capital projects are going to be talked about very soon after this budget's passed. And just as a reminder, that was $2.6 million that we got from ARP money.
And if I could interject, the council has appropriated approximately half of it,
That's correct.
approximately.
That's correct. So the outlook, of course, pretty much for everybody across the nation, you know, we were going through the Great Resignation. That's not really given us any direct effects here, but I think the fallout's beginning to show. We are having issues, as everybody else is, with hiring employees to fill vacant positions. And as you all know, as I've mentioned, inflation continues to climb at an alarming rate. This affects most, if not all, services we provide. Of course, the cost of supplies, materials that we use on a daily basis are increasing. And the availability of supplies and materials and equipment are becoming scarce, and some cases not available at all. So the total budget this year is $16,990,000, an increase of 15.31% from the previous fiscal year. Personnel, capital, debt, and operating costs show increases from the previous fiscal year. The increase in personnel costs is due to 6% cost of living adjustment for all full-time employees, 3 new positions in the police department, 2 new positions in administration, 1 new water customer service position, and a part-time waste reduction specialist position, as well as an increase in Elgers, which is our local government retirement system contribution. Town of Black Mountain, this is for town services. We stay committed to continuation of all our existing services for the upcoming fiscal year, which of course includes recreation and parks, finance, administration, planning and zoning, building inspections, public services, residential garbage and recycling, police, fire, and stormwater. All our services are proposed to continue at our current service delivery levels for the upcoming fiscal year. As far as grants go, we continue to look for grants during the year to supplement our programs and services for pretty much every department. In this upcoming year, we will continue to implement the NCDOT STPDA funding for the Phase 2 of the Riverwalk Greenway, completing our Part F grant for the improvements at Veterans Park, which is the playground, outdoor pavilion, overflow parking, and really the restrooms are the main thing we have left. And also our North Carolina Volkswagen settlement for replacing diesel dump trucks. We are also examining grants through the federal government to assist in many areas of town operations. Our fund balance, the total fund balance for the town of Black Mountain General Fund is estimated to be $6,253,951, or 66% of projected general fund expenditures. This was at the end of last year. This includes restricted fund balances, capital reserve fund, and our unassigned fund balance. Based on our most recent audit for the period ending June 30, 2021, our unassigned fund balance was $3,550,454, or 38% of our general fund expenditures. This compares with $3,379,370, or 37% at the end of fiscal year 2020. So we did increase $171,000 in our fund balance percentage. This is due to revenues outpacing expenditures, which we typically see here. And the town, of course, has a fund balance policy that we require a 30% unassigned fund balance percentage. Our current debt is, we're budgeted to expend $571,400 on debt service this upcoming year. This amount includes debt in the amount of $132,700 for the sanitation department for essentially trucks, $183,900 in public buildings, $196,600 in the water fund, and $58,200 in the golf fund for the golf carts. At June 30, 2022, a couple days, the town will have outstanding debt of $3,038,472. The budget proposes assuming new debt for police cars and body cameras at a cost of $580,000. Capital reserve funds, at the end of this fiscal year, which is a couple of days away, we estimate the capital reserve fund for the general fund to be at $600,000.
Josh, could I interrupt you just a second?
Sure.
On the, I'm trying to think, is it appropriate that I interrupted them? We're presenting.
Yeah.
We're presenting, so it's okay, I'm not asking you a question. But on the increase in debt, I might ask that you clarify that that's the total amount of debt increase, but the debt service is replacing debt service that
That's
we
correct.
retired in prior years, so we're really
That's correct.
maintaining a cap on our debt,
That's
by-
correct, Mayor Harris.
the addition,
That's right.
our debt service.
So yeah, the debt service for that $580,000 is about $130,000, which is what just came off the books a year. I mentioned the capital reserve fund. So this money represents money for building renovations and vehicle replacement at the fire department. Capital project funds, which differ slightly from capital reserve funds, have also been set up and have been for a number of years, but they're in our financials. This is the Swananoa watershed restoration. So this is the Veterans Park project that got washed away a couple years ago. Riverwalk Greenway Phase 2, our Tomahawk Stream improvements we've done on the golf course, Veterans Park Part F grant, automated meter infrastructure, and the Lake Tomahawk Dam project. And we do this because we anticipate spending money in multiple years for these types of projects over and over. General fund highlights. So our general fund, it's a little bit different than years in the past. We pulled out some departments, which I'll get to briefly in a minute. This budget you're being presented recommends the general fund to be $9,583,160. It's an 11.34% decrease from fiscal year 21-22. And that's due to separating out fire department, development services, and PAL bill. They're now all in their own respective special revenue funds, which makes it much easier for us for accounting and things of that nature. Personnel for general fund highlights, 3 new positions are proposed for the police department, 2 night shift patrol officers and 1 evidence technician / accreditation manager. Total salaries for these 3 positions are $205,026. Now that includes everything, that salary number, that's benefits, that's not just that's not what they're getting paid, that's everything, insurance, everything that's included in that number. 2 new positions are proposed for administration, a project and facilities manager position, and a human resources technician position. Total salaries for those 2 positions are $170,000. Also, we are going to be hiring a part-time waste reduction specialist, and that's going to be about $17,000 or so, roughly. So the total COLA, or cost of living adjustment, for the general fund for 6% ends up coming out at $160,677. Our operating costs are up pretty much across the board in every department. One of those being fuel. Of course, we've increased the fuel by 25%. For administration, we've got a $10,000 increase in operating for a salary study that we've talked about that's upcoming in August. The police department, $146,000 is budgeted to pay for dispatch services, $25,000 for professional development, $15,500 for supplies, and $25,000 for law enforcement supplies. Public buildings, an increase of $4,000 this is our code red, or our notification system. And with this increase, we now have the ability to do unlimited calls. So we're not hemmed into only being able to call a certain number of calls every month. And then sanitation, the operating is at $65,000 for maintenance and repair due to increases in tires and parts. Capital, currently in this budget for the general fund, administration would be $6,000 for public record software. Development services, that's actually not in the general fund, but development services, $32,000 to complete the bike boulevard. Police is budgeted $580,000, as I mentioned, as we talked about a few minutes ago. This is for 5 new patrol vehicles as well as in-car and body cameras. The total cost for the vehicles is $280,000 and the body cameras is $300,000. For streets, we have $184,000 budgeted for capital. This is for snow plows, for some banners for downtown, a welder, salt spreader, cameras, and 2 new trucks. Parks and maintenance, we have $15,000 for a new mower. POW bill, we're doing $400,000 for street paving this upcoming budget. Parks and recreation, I have in here $129,000 for fencing at the croquet court, fencing at the dog park and a shade structure, basketball goals for youth sports, and a new van and a new work truck. And then we have $20,000 in here for a cover for the swimming pool. Our debt for the general fund sits at $1,699,108. It's the outstanding debt, and that really consists of Black Mountain Avenue property, our loans on the sanitation trucks, and then the loan on the town square property. Our revenues for this year, we are budgeting $4,665,700 for ad valorem or property taxes, and $228,300 for DMV motor vehicle taxes. Both of these combined make up almost 47% of our general fund revenues. We've budgeted sales tax considerably higher this upcoming year at $355,590 higher. We continue to see just an amazing growth in sales tax, and I hope it continues forever. So, I hope we can keep moving that up every year. But that is amazing. Our franchise taxes not so well. We budgeted $39,000 lower. These are like telecommunications taxes such as that. And just based on state projections, we've just seen this fall every year, year after year. Our building permits, we did budget a little bit lower this year. We've seen a little bit of a decrease, and I think a lot of that is supply chain issues. People aren't able to get what they need to get to build the houses, and some worker shortages. We feel like those are impacting our construction here in town, but still pretty high. I think we've budgeted $300,000 for revenue on building permits for this upcoming year. And our fund balance appropriated, actually, I need you to mark through that. The actual number is $604,920, not $589,920.
So Josh, would you stop and kind of break down that increase and why it's as substantial as it is this year?
For the fund balance appropriated.
Yes.
So typically we do around, if you go over, I think I looked at the last 5 years, it's around 250,000 or so is what we typically have done. In this year's budget, we know that we've got, our percentage, our policy is 30% for our unassigned fund balance. And as I've read a few minutes ago, we're at 38%. So there is some extra in there. And what we're wanting to do, that there are some new positions in this budget as well as some other projects and just cost in general, but we are able to make that happen and go a little bit more than 250 because we've got some of that extra money that we haven't had in the past. Development services. So the budget for development services, this is in its own fund due to building inspection revenue. That way we can account for that better. Auditors like to see it that way better. The total total recommended budget for the building services department is $680,375. There are no new personnel, no new budgeted positions for personnel. The 6% COLA salary adjustment is $12,876. We do have some increases in operating, and that is to finish out our Unified Development Ordinance contract with our contracting firm right now, $60,000 to finish that project out, and then we have $40,000 and an increase in operating for the 9th Street Bridge right-of-way match that DOT is doing. They're admitting that project for us. The capital spending in the development services budget consists of the $32,000 for Bike Boulevard project, and then Cragmont Park Phase 2 for Greenway at $15,000. And there's no debt budgeted in development services. For our fire service fund, this is something that also came out of general fund and is now in its own special revenue fund. That budget is recommended at $2,629,675. No new positions are budgeted. The 6% COLA accounts for $64,768. Operating increases consist of uniforms going up, maintenance, supplies, and fuel, of course. And then we have budgeted for, we have $52,000 in here for uniforms and turnout gear, and then $25,200 for supplies. The capital in the fire service fund consists of $100,000 to transfer to the capital reserve, which would bring that capital reserve fund to $700,000. $75,000 for a new chief vehicle, and then $56,200 for just an assortment of equipment from radios, headsets, gym equipment, and some tools. No new debt is budgeted for the fire service fund. The water fund highlights, the water fund is recommended at, it's actually supposed to be $2,248,895, and that's a 10% increase from the current fiscal year we are in. Now that does include, which I'll get to in a minute, that does include a 6% increase in rates for the water fund. So the average person that uses 5,000 gallons of water a month will see a monthly increase of about $2.50. There is one new position proposed for the water fund. That is the customer service position at $56,000. That's the total salary, the total package. And then the salary increase for cost of living at 6% consists of, or equates to $6,408. The operating increases for this are setting at $195,745, and this is the cost of supplies, purchasing more water from Asheville, and increases in contract labor. The capital budget for the water fund, and this recommended budget is $429,000. This would include Asheville water line transfer, infrastructure, AMI meters, which is the automated meters, and then general water replacement at $100,000 and well pumps for $50,000. Total debt for the water fund, $1,169,364. This is a decrease of $246,113 from the current fiscal year. And the water fund is responsible for half of the debt payment on the 304 Black Mountain Avenue building. Golf fund highlights for 22-23, we recommend that budget at $784,925. It's a 13.29% decrease from fiscal year 21-22. The 6% COLA adjustment accounts for $10,733. No new positions anticipated for the golf course. I think they do an excellent job with the positions they've got part-time, and I think they do a great job up there at the golf course with the current employees. Total operating cost for the golf course is a little bit higher this year, $24,525, and that really is due to the increase in the equipment lease that we talked about in our last meeting. No new capital is budgeted. We have debt budgeted at $58,200 for 2 more years, including this proposed budget, so we'll have 1 more year of that debt payment for those golf carts. Our stormwater fund highlights. We're recommending the stormwater fund at $450,000 even, which is a 12.6% increase from fiscal year 21-22. No new positions are being budgeted. The 6% COLA adjustment accounts for $2,894. Now I'm going to get to the conclusion, so that I think that the taxpayers of Black Mountain should be proud of our emphasis on fiscal responsibility with a regionally competitive tax rate, and I'll talk more about tax rate in a minute. A low level of debt service, and the continued strengthening of our fund balance. In addition, we continue to pursue grant opportunities, streamline our service levels, and make wise capital investments. Our commitment to excellence makes the town of Black Mountain one of the greatest places to live, work, and raise a family. As always, I appreciate the guidance and support I received from the mayor and the council during the process. And I have to thank the department heads and all the finance staff for helping put this budget together. I appreciate all the work y'all did. But getting back to the tax rate, I sent this out to council, I guess it was last week. I think something we can be proud of is we are the lowest tax rate in the county here in Black Mountain. The tax rate is staying unchanged for this budget, proposed budget at 30.3060, so it's 30 cents essentially. So we haven't changed that from last year. I would say that the next closest municipality to us would be Biltmore Forest at 34.5 cents. Town of Whiffen is 33 cents, but they also have to add in a fire service tax rate of almost 11 cents, which of course would bring that up to 43 cents. And then the town of Montreat, they're at 43 cents, but they also pay a fire tax service rate of 10.69, which is that's East Buncombe Fire District. So we provide that fire service for them. So in the town of Weaver, us in the town of Weaver are the only ones that really do that. So Weaverville has their own municipal fire department, and we do, of course. Weaverville, their fire department does North Buncombe Fire District.
What's their rate?
Their rate for Weaverville, it's let's see, North Buncombe is 10.77.
No, Weaverville's tax rate.
No, their tax rate is 35 cents.
So how about going through that again?
Sure.
Okay, Black Mountain is,
30.60.
and none of our citizens pay fire tax.
That's
because our fire department is served. And Biltmore Forest is.
Biltmore Forest is 34.50. Now I talked to their manager, and they don't have a fire department. They're serviced by Skyland, and then the town just pays for that service contract. They don't charge
Their
taxes.
service contract,
That's right.
but they have to pay for something.
The general fund pays for that. That's
Yeah.
correct.
They just don't have a rate.
That's right.
It's an odd relation. That's an odd.
Yeah, it's odd compared to everybody else
Right.
in the county for sure.
And then Woodland.
The Wood is 33 cents, but they have to pay an extra 10 cents for fire
So they're
service.
paying 43. Montreat is like
53 if you count the
53
fire.
with the fire tax.
That's correct.
53. And Weaverville's 35. All right. I think that'd be good to get that in the minutes of the meeting. All right.
And that is your budget message. I'm happy to go into more details. I will say, at some point, I need to make some corrections with you on page 12. Those numbers didn't get inserted correctly, so I need to make sure those are correct before it's
Okay.
voted on.
So we can do that after we go out of public hearing. Does any member of the public wish to make comment about the budget? Yeah, go right ahead. You can come up, sit at the table, yeah. Oh, I see it.
Does this microphone work?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it does. My name is Bob Pauley. I've lived in Black Mountain for 34 years. I've been in communication with the town about different issues. I ran for town council a couple times. My comment about this budget is, you're glorifying the fact that we're the cheapest rate in the county as far as tax rates, but I saw my taxes go up between my two properties last year, and I understand the tax rate it's partly the county going up, but I saw my payments on my two properties go up $2,000 last year. And looking at this budget, I got the same thing that Josh Harrell went through just now. I was reading along with him. And there should be some way to make this budget more revenue neutral. Assessments have gone way up. I'm feeling in my pocket, the public is paying more for gas, groceries, everything. And I understand some of the tax increases. Some of the budget needs are important, but when I'm paying more for gas, food, and then a budget that is not revenue neutral at all, it kind of gets me upset. Now, you can pat yourself on the back and say we didn't go up on the tax rate, but I think it's important that you look after the town people that have been here a long time and go back to the drawing board and change the tax rate. It'd be a good idea to even lower it. And looking through this budget, what is the reason for a program director or a project manager? Why are you hiring a project manager in a town that's less than $10,000? We're not that big a town, at least not yet. And you need a project manager? I'm not getting that. Go back to the drawing board, lower these tax rates for all the citizens in the taxpayers in the county. The reason why the rents are so high in this town is because of the tax rate. Take it for what you want, but I just think this is a spending out of control budget. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Kristen James.
Good evening. I'm Kristen James. I'm a 7.5-year resident of Black Mountain. And, pardon?
Address.
We need your address.
Oh,
for the record.
sorry. 300 Allen Mountain Drive. So I'm here to advocate on behalf of the tennis community here in town. I've been involved with the Black Mountain Tennis Association since last summer. Got my feet wet with a tri-tennis clinic that was hosted in town and got hooked. And I've been playing about 3 times a week since then. So first off, I just want to say thank you for the investment y'all made in the upper courts by Lake Tomahawk. Badly needed and really, really appreciated. So I'm here to lend support for a future investment in a 4-court complex on the lower courts at the south end of the lake, and along with a bathroom and a water fountain there. That would bring significant improvement to those courts, which are in pretty rough shape. There's a large and growing group of people in town across all ages that want to use the courts, and our supply is simply not keeping pace with the demand. Further, activities like tennis are good for our community. These activities connect neighbors, create friendships. We look out for one another. Our annual membership fees help fund the Parks and Rec Department. And through our league play, we host players from communities around the region, and these guests eat in our restaurants, they spend money in our shops, and we want to create an increasingly desirable space in which to host them. Thanks for allowing me a few moments to speak, and thanks for the work you do for our town.
Thank you. Cheryl King.
Hi-ho, visual props in case anybody guesses what we're talking about today. I'm Cheryl, and I'm one of the captains. You need an address, which one? 506 Azalea Avenue. I captain several USTA teams, and I help keep the ladies playing on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays in the morning. We have a huge tennis community, as Kristen spoke to. And we need more courts. We are maxed out. I think COVID actually brought people out of the woodwork because it was a safe activity where you could maintain social distance and also play, get exercise in addition to enjoying an activity. So I think with the new courts, in addition to COVID, it's actually really increased the demand for tennis. And as you know, tennis is a lifelong sport. You have folks down there that are 2-3 years old playing with a racket up to 90 years old. I mean, any age, it's a lifetime sport. So you're not talking about a sport that's just for kids or just for adults. If you don't even like tennis, you've never even been by there, I encourage you to go by and take an eyeball to the lower courts. They've got big cracks. You got grass growing in. You guys were kind enough to paint the lines for us. But we really need more courts, and we need those fixed because you've outlaid the cash and the capital improvement to lay the courts out there. they need fixing, and a bathroom would be awesome. Because we do have folks coming in from other communities playing on those courts, and we always hear, oh, porta potties. So please consider that in your 1 to 3 year plan to repair those courts and add courts and a bathroom. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Cheryl. Kevin Keough?
Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin Keough. I live at 6 Burnett Drive in Black Mountain. I've lived here for 8 years, and I would say that all of the people that I have met here has been through tennis. So I'm yet another person who's advocating for repairs to the lower courts, because the upper courts are beautiful, and we thank you for that. It's been a long time coming, and we appreciate them so much. It's the most scenic place I've ever played tennis in my life. And I started late because we didn't have tennis courts where I grew up. And it's a wonderful thing that BMTA does all of these clinics to introduce children and teenagers and adults to tennis. I think it's a very important thing to continue doing, but many times children and teenagers and even adults get turned away because there aren't enough courts. And they have to wait for the next session. And they'll be on a waiting list, so they may have a chance of getting in that session, but then there'll be more children, teenagers, adults on a waiting list that cannot participate. The lower courts are in very bad shape. I don't know if anybody has seen them. The cracks are about a quarter width. They run the whole length of the court from north to south, and they crisscross all the way across the court in every direction. And grass is growing up through the cracks now. And so when you're playing, you could trip over that grass that's there because it's not at the same level as the rest of the court. We've been hoping to get this done for many years. I know we've presented this before the council for at least the past 10 years or so. So we would really appreciate you considering the forecourt complex that was mentioned earlier with bathrooms, which will present a nicer picture to people who come from across the state to play tennis here. So I hope you'll consider it in your 1 to 3 year plan. Those cracks are getting so wide, I'm afraid we're going to lose people. They're going to fall in and we won't be able to find them. So I thank you for your time, and I hope that you will include this in your budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to make comment?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. My name's Carl Mims.
Just, yeah, have a seat so they can speak in the mic.
Carl Mims, 200 Laurel Circle Drive. I would like to, I play croquet, and the crabgrass is terrible. And I think that they were gonna do something about it before the spring season when it started growing or whatever. And I don't think it happened. And so I would like to just, whenever the time arises that needs to be, the crabgrass can be treated, that it be treated. You know, I don't know who take care of that, maybe the golf course people or something, you know, they mow it, so I guess, but it's really bad because it slows the balls down. Bad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Just a reminder, this is public comment about the budget, so that's what we need to focus the comments on. But thank you nonetheless. Yes, Rick.
If I have a question, do you still need me?
You need to come up and address it, and we're not going to dialogue back and forth, but we'll address it after we go out of public hearing.
I'm Rick Early, 107 Oakland Drive. Josh, I'm trying to find the total revenue for 2021. Page 15 lists the total expenses for total funds budget. And I'm just looking for the total revenue, everything included, and I can't find it. So when we're done,
I can
Toss
answer
it.
that when we're done.
what?
I can answer that when we're done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Yes, Wesley.
I think I signed the back of the sheet of the comment.
Oh, sorry,
That's all right.
you did. Sorry.
Weston Hall, 100 Port Main Villa, Black Mountain. I wanted to say first, thank you so much for the council and the mayor and the town manager and just the town staff. And y'all worked really hard on this budget. And I wish people could see how hard y'all worked. It started, I guess, in April, and just all the meetings y'all have had and all the questions y'all have fielded. It's been great. And I would like to applaud the council. But my comment is for AARP money that was given, and we did it last year, we voted on it, and you gave the town employees $500 and you called them all essential. And they're all great, but they're not all essential workers. We look at emergency workers, fire, police, sanitation, those that had to be there on the job when COVID was in full swing, and we put our lives, or they put their lives on the line, and we only gave them $500 with the rest of the employees. I believe that the rest of the employees should get an extra bonus or from the ARP money, whatever we want to call it. Asheville certainly did. And the county has given their emergency services around $3,000 to $4,000. And I would like to see Black Mountain do better than that. Just to show appreciation, y'all came, y'all showed up at work. You didn't have the proper PPE, as everybody can remember in the very beginning. All they had was dust mask. They really couldn't even use that. And you looked at doctors and nurses, they had the face shields, the big masks, the suits and everything that you couldn't really wear in the field, but those things weren't available either. And as we know, we did lose a firefighter in the process. So I would like to just appeal to the town council to honor our fire, honor our police, honor the sanitation, and give them a bonus, if that's what we call it. Thank you.
Thank you, Weston. Anyone else wish to make comment regarding the budget?
Mr. Mayor, I have a comment that came in I can read if no one else. This is from James Full and Courtney Halcomb. James Full and Courtney Halcomb approve the budget as documented and commend all involved for their continued fiscal responsibility managing the town of Black Mountain. We especially support the cost of living adjustment and staffing, employee acquisition, and retention expenditures of our tax dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing no others who wish to make public comment, council, I'd entertain the motion that we close the public hearing.
So moved.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, all those in favor, hold your horse, please.
Councilmember Hay. Councilmember King. Vice Mayor Stone.
Aye.
Councilmember Patillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Christie.
Aye.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay, Josh, did you have something you wanted to add and see what council has to say?
I don't have anything to add.
Oh, I thought you wanted.
I was gonna answer Rick's question, but I can do that offline.
Well, no,
I can
that's
answer it.
okay.
So, Rick, if you turn to page 21, you'll see the general fund revenues. And the interesting thing about the revenues, they're estimated because a lot of our revenues, as you may or may not know, the sales tax revenues are 3-month lag. So we don't know those actuals. You'll really get a good idea of what those revenues look like when we have our audit done.
Okay.
Because by that time, everything would have been in.
So,
Rick, you can't do it back and forth.
Give me a call.
Yeah, why don't you come on up to the microphone so people, well, they gotta see you and, so forth and hear you.
Richard Early, 107 Oakland. I was just trying to get the actual and the budget revenues for 2021. And I'm looking on page 21, and I see estimated, it looks like 8.447.
Yeah, you're not gonna have actuals for revenue here,
Okay,
because we don't have actuals.
you got estimated?
We got, the estimated revenues are, if you look over on page 22, you're gonna see the projected revenue property tax for the end of, in 3 days, 2
Yeah.
days, 4,484,790.
Okay,
Now, that's of course an estimation.
but that's just property tax. That's not,
That's property tax only.
Yeah. okay.
That's right.
I can probably go through that sheet and pull all those things out. I didn't.
If you,
Yeah,
if
you
you
can
can.
catch up with him.
That's fine, yeah, okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Okay, council. Got any questions or comments for Josh?
You'd think we spent a few meetings
I
on
know,
this.
that's
Sure.
right.
Just
I
a
think
few,
they're dumbfounded that I didn't know
just a
what to
few.
talk about.
So I'll make a couple of comments just on some notes I made, just to clarify for the public, the board knows this. But in appropriating that additional fund balance amount, you may recall Josh mentioned that we ordinarily, just to mechanically get a budget done, appropriate around $250,000 because otherwise you don't have any room to move, and you can't, you'd have to amend it every month for multiple times. And so normally we don't utilize that, but you build that into the budget just so that you can practically operate. But we had a fund balance that had grown, and a lot of it during the COVID sheltering, because we budgeted ultra conservatively for fiscal year ending 21. And we did not, fortunately, did not suffer the consequences of any reductions in anything, frankly. And sales tax was significantly higher. And so we built a fund balance, and we were over above our projected, the policy that the board council has adopted, not this year, but in prior years, 30% of general fund revenues for unappropriated, unspoken for fund balance. We had gotten up, as Josh mentioned, to 37. And so the idea was, we don't want to spend that, we want to spend that money because it's taxpayers' money, and we don't want to hold on to too much in fund balance. We want to spend it for taxpayer, you go to the town. But we don't want to spend it on something that's recurring, because we can't afford that, you're going to run into a wall. So council and staff spent a lot of time, and that 400,000 or so that we're drawing down on fund balance, it's for items such as trucks and things that they're not exactly one-time expenditures, because you have those, but they're not salaries, and it's not something we built in that we would have to, it's just built into the cake next year, so to speak. So I think that's an important thing for the public to know. And also, when we talk about the fire tax, just for the public to be aware that coming into going back to the question about revenues, the fire tax number that we receive, county collects at the East District, East Buncombe fire tax, our fire department budget, it's really, the money's fungible, it just goes into the general fund, but it's
About $1.5
million in fire tax. So not an insignificant number. So I just wanted to mention that. And then, council, any questions or comments? Or if you don't, then you're ready to.
Let me make this comment
I
first.
think Doug might have a quick comment.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay, real quick, on page 12, if y'all will look at this with me, council and mayor, real quick. At the very top, and then under section 6 there, you've got two numbers, 730,375. That number needs to be 680,375, okay? Not 730, so
Yeah.
that did get changed when it came over.
Yeah, it's corrected there. Our copies.
Yeah, I corrected for
Yeah.
you, sorry.
Right. Yeah, for the public to know, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Doug.
Josh, during the meetings we had over the last few months, there was a lot of discussion around a few specific projects that were popular, or we were hearing from several community members about, in particular the Great Northern Division, Citywalk Courts, Charter Street sidewalk, and there may be one other. We had pulled that from this budget, because the projects are not in this budget, and committed to funding them shortly. Can you explain what we decided to do there for members of the public?
So yeah, those specific projects you mentioned, just trying to put those in this budget. I think we got to a point where I think council we talked a lot about numbers, and we kind of settled on the $600,000 number, I think, for an appropriation. So including those in would have just raised that more, and I think the decision that was made was after this budget's adopted, maybe even as soon as the July meeting, we go ahead and talk about those specific things and fund with the ARP funds, being Gray Eagle. I think pickleball was something that was talked about heavily as well, although that may wait on the Parks and Rec master plan. You mentioned the Charlotte Street sidewalk as well, and I think that was about $50,000. So those things we are going to talk about shortly after this meeting to get those programmed in and get those moving forward. Does that answer your question?
And, I just wanted to make it clear that.
Sure.
That we weren't, scrapping those projects.
Yeah, right. No, I think that's, I appreciate you bringing that up, Councilmember Hay. And I think Josh tried to touch on it earlier, but it bears speaking to again. We still have, and just a reminder for the public, of the 2.6 ARP money, council has appropriated funds toward the dam repair, which it has to be repaired. And also a water line from our new pump station, which has to be done. So we don't really have a choice. And those are expensive projects. And we would be strapped to work to get those done without the ARP funds. The remaining portion of the ARP funds have not been appropriated. And that goes back to what Councilmember Hay wanted everyone to understand, and Josh mentioned earlier. Some of it is mechanically how we're handling the ARP funds. You may recall that Josh mentioned we're doing a salary replacement method, meaning that we can utilize the ARP funds for salary replacement, and it is incredibly much simpler administratively for the town staff to handle it that way. But what that requires is for us to move through about 1 quarter, and then the town can reimburse itself for salaries, and it'll take about 2 quarters, and we'll have all of it freed up to then appropriate for the various projects. And most of the projects that the council has considered run more than 1 budget year anyway. And so, but it is something that we're going to be meeting on very, very shortly, and I suspect it will be the easiest way to handle it would just be through a workshop, like I know everybody loves them, and we'll gather in the one morning and work on that and get that worked through. So thank you, I appreciate you mentioning that. Anyone else?
I'll just say that this process, I think, really started in March when we had an all-day retreat for the council, and got a head start a little bit on establishing priorities for the coming year. And we've had a lot of meetings about this, I think more than normal, I'm not sure, but
Maybe a little. But
yeah,
I think it was
anyway,
slow.
I think there was plenty of opportunity if you were interested to watch the sausage get made, so to speak. So it was really kind of a deliberately open conversation about where is this money gonna go and how do we allocate funds. And as you can tell, it's a juggling act. There are many demands on the town's funds. And I feel really good that we tried to balance it out and make sure that it was used equitably and kept keeping in mind the tax rates and so on, that we didn't overburden the citizens. And not everybody got everything they wanted. I didn't get everything I wanted, but that's why it works this way. So I would just urge patience for some of those issues that, people have been waiting for a while and they want everything to happen sooner, and I do too, but I think we've come up with a really good budget. I'm pleased with it myself.
Thank you, Pam. The other thing, we actually started earlier than that because we had the folks come and talk about debt
You're
and
absolutely
funding
right.
transportation projects. And so
Yeah.
we cranked into it pretty early in January, really.
Right, the education process started quite
Yeah,
early.
and it was very helpful too,
Yeah.
so. Comments or questions, council?
I would just make one additional comment to build off Pam's as well, Mr. Mayor. You know, certainly in listening to some of the comments that are made, I would not characterize this document as reckless spending in any way. We're all very aware of and we all feel the pain that everyone does right now of inflation and everything going on. So we are aware of what the employees are dealing with, what you're dealing with, what we're all dealing with, and we've addressed it as best we can. And looking at our tax rate, one thing that was not noted in our tax rate is that we also offer additional services that those communities, similar in size but with higher rate, don't offer, including an outstanding recreation program. So for what a citizen pays in here in Black Mountain, you get, I would say, substantially more than you would get in Woodfin or Weaverville. And that's a credit to the people here, and it's a credit to the staff for making that so. In regards to making the tax rate more revenue neutral, you know, what I believe the gentleman is referring to is the increase from both the county board and the property reeval that was done caused that increase. Neither of those things are something that this board or we as individuals have control over. Those are handled at the county level, and we certainly just deal with those repercussions. But in my 8+ years of being on this board, I can say that consistently, and this year is no different, I think I've seen people be appreciative of the level of service, and people want to see that service increase. And that just, it takes more of our revenue. So as we grow, and luckily we have a lot of growth in this community still, we put those funds into those services, but we are very cognizant of making sure that we do it in a manner where our spending does not exceed what our revenues will be. And that we keep our debt at a certain percentage and level, and that we abide by those rules. And as a board, and I would say it's a pleasure to work with all of them in this process of getting that done. No budget is perfect. No one gets whatever they want ever. It's no different than what you do at home at the kitchen table, just with larger numbers. But this is a good starting point for the next year and for the next, you know, after we have a new board in December, a good starting point for them going forward. So I think this budget, as always, is progress for the town of Black Mountain.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Anyone else?
I'll just really just echo the other comments that I think I'm proud of this budget. I think it shows that we're focusing on the employees, first of all, that we know that we recognize and appreciate the good work of the employees and all the other great things, as Ryan said. The recreation is outstanding in Black Mountain. It adds to the quality of life. And the process has been good. As has been mentioned, we've been going on this for many months and educating ourselves. I've learned a lot as the newest member of the council. I have appreciated that education and have appreciated the discussions with the other council members and staff. And I'm very, very pleased with it.
Thank you. Great comments. Anyone else?
I'll just say one last thing here, if I may. And that is that, you know, as Councilmember Christie was just saying, you know, a big focus throughout this discussion and throughout this budget has been personnel and making sure that we are able to supply the services that we're accounting for in this budget. It takes the employees, it takes our police officer, the firefighters, sanitation workers, it takes everyone showing up daily, and we need to make sure that we are attracting the right people and keeping people and training them. That is use of our funds is to get people to stay instead of having to recruit new ones. And I'm glad that we're taking steps to help
Thank you, Councilmember Hay. Any other comments? If not, I would entertain a motion that the council adopt the budget for fiscal year 2022, 23, and the 5-year capital improvement plan for 2023 through 27, as amended with a few amendments that Josh made to it during the meeting. So
So moved.
great, thank you. Questions, comments? If not, a roll call.
Councilmember Hay. Councilmember King.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Stone.
Aye.
Councilmember Patillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Christie.
Aye.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. I think with that, our business is concluded. Fireworks,
Monday.
4th of July, actually on the 4th of July, when it gets dark. And so have a happy 4th, everybody. Thanks for being here.